In this video, we're going to be covering step by step how you can hire your first virtual assistant, and we're going to be breaking it into 3 different parts. So the first part is going to be what tasks you should be looking to offload to a virtual assistant and when you should start doing this. The second part of the video is going to cover how to hire the virtual assistant. So where are we going to go to find these people? What's the hiring process like? And how are we going to train them? And the last part of the video is going to cover management and how to successfully build a working relationship with your virtual assistant. So with that said, there's going to be a lot to cover in this video, so we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the computer and get right into it. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into this video, and if at any point in the video you find this information helpful, go ahead and leave the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. And if there is a certain part of the video that you are looking to skip to, for example, the hiring section of the video, I'll go ahead and leave that timestamp in the description down below. So that said, let's go ahead and get into it. And we're going to be starting with section 1. So section 1 is just going to be what type of task you should outsource and when to start. So we're going to break this down into 2 separate types of tasks. So we have tasks that you can perform yourself, and we have tasks that you cannot perform yourself. So these are things that need to be done within your business, but they're outside of your current skill set. So as a general rule, tasks that you can perform yourself, you're likely not going to begin outsourcing them right away. You're likely going to wait until you're turning a steady profit, and then at that point you need to free up some time and start to scale. So that's when you start to outsource these things. But typically in the beginning, especially if you're strapped for cash in the beginning, you don't have a lot of cash to fund the business up front, then you're likely going to be investing a lot more of your time up front versus your money. However, if you do have the upfront cash to automate parts of your business from the get-go, then by all means do it. And that is essentially a more effective strategy moving forward, because it does allow you to go ahead and free up more of your time to focus solely on revenue generating tasks. However, in the beginning, if this is your first business or you don't have a lot of money to fund the current business, then it may be smarter to go ahead and wait to outsource tasks that you can perform yourself until the business is generating some cash flow that you can go ahead and reinvest. And then when it comes to tasks that you cannot perform yourself, most of the time you're just gonna have to go ahead and outsource this right away regardless, considering this is something that needs to be done, but it's outside of your skill set. So a couple of examples here would be, the first one, let's say we have an e-commerce store, so you could outsource different things such as order fulfillment, customer support, and inventory management. And with these, you don't really need to outsource order fulfillment if you're not making any sales yet. So your initial focus should obviously be on generating sales. And if you're not really driving a lot of traffic to your store, you're not really going to have a lot of customer support inquiries. Therefore, it wouldn't really make sense to outsource that right away either. So you can kind of see what I mean, where certain tasks kind of make more sense to outsource once the ball is rolling with your store, and then certain ones you can go ahead and outsource right away. So another example could be with a YouTube channel. You could outsource different things such as your video editing or your thumbnail designs. And if you're not very good with something like Photoshop, then this could be an example of something that you go ahead and outsource right away. And then our third example here would be a marketing agency. So you could outsource things like ad copy design, SEO link building, or tracking and reporting different types of traffic and sales data for clients. But these are just a couple examples. There's really no limit to what you can outsource. Typically what you're going to be starting out with is you're going to be starting by outsourcing the most entry level, the most basic tasks in your business, and then working your way up. So you're going to outsource the simplest things first and then move up from there. So that way you can free up more of your time to focus solely on revenue generating tasks. So with that said, that is when you're going to start outsourcing, and that's a general idea of the type of tasks that you can go ahead and outsource. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the meat of the video, which is how to actually hire these VAs. So as far as where to go, we're going to be using a site called Upwork.com. And Upwork is a freelance website. And if I bring it up right here, we can see that it's a freelance website where you can go ahead and hire different types of freelance work. We can see that there's different sections right here. We have web development, design and creative writing, marketing, admin support, customer service. There's a lot of different categories that you can look for. We can go ahead and see all, and we can go ahead and see a bunch of different categories here that we can go ahead and hire for. So there's pretty much going to be a category for any type of task that we're looking for here on Upwork, and Upwork is the biggest site when it comes to outsourcing remote work online. So this is the one that I use and the one I would recommend because they're the biggest. They have the largest amount of freelancers on here. However, there are other alternatives such as onlinejobs.ph if you want to go ahead and look into those as well. So what we're going to be doing on Upwork is we need to make a job posting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly run you through how you can make a job posting on Upwork. So once you go ahead and sign up for Upwork, you're going to sign up for a client account. And then after you've created a client account, you will just come down here and click post the job. And then we can kind of go through the job process really quickly. So we can go ahead and select whether or not we are hiring for a short-term position or a long-term position. So this will go ahead and vary depending on the type of work that you are trying to go ahead and outsource. So in this case, let's say we are hiring for a long-term order fulfillment position for an e-commerce store. So I will go ahead and select long-term, and then we can go ahead and just name our job post here. So what you'd want to do is just put a brief description of the job / title that you're looking for. So in this example, we would go ahead and do virtual assistant needed for e-commerce website fulfillment. And then we can see right here we have some job categories will go ahead and auto populate here. So we can go ahead and see we have virtual and administrative assistance right here, providing administrative assistance to clients remotely. So we can see that this is going to be the first category that shows up. Or we could go ahead and select order processing here, which is order processing is selecting, packing, and sending items to a shipping carrier. In this case, since this is going to be done remotely, we're going to just stick with virtual and administrative assistance. However, you just want to go ahead and pick the category that best fits the job that you are hiring for. So obviously, if you are hiring for customer service or a data entry position, you can go ahead and select that. And then I go ahead and click next here. And then right here is where you just want to go ahead and put a description for the job. So you would go ahead and just type out everything that needs to be done. So for the sake of this video, I don't want it to be too long, so I'm not going to go ahead and type out a complete example here because it's going to be very different depending on the type of job you're hiring for. However, the most important thing that matters when it comes to posting your job is to post a hidden test at the end. So I'll talk about what I mean right now. So let's say we just put in some example text here, and we have details, and then here at the end of the job post, we want to put in something to make sure that the applicant actually is paying attention, reading the post, and isn't just copy and pasting and mass applying to jobs. So we want to put something in here like, please start your application with, and then we can put like insert phrase here. So what you can go ahead and do is just come up with some type of unique phrase. I mean, it can literally be anything. It could just be a random string of text, a random set of numbers, or you can make something clever to, make them think of something on their own. Or you could literally just put like, please start your application with ABC123. It really doesn't matter. But you're putting this here because you want to make sure that
the applicants are actually reading your post, because there's a lot of people on all these sites that just go through and mass apply to jobs without even reading the post, and these people need to be immediately filtered out and disregarded. So the point of this here is to easily filter out a lot of our applicants. So we would go ahead and do that, and then right here we can go ahead and upload different project files and images here if we want. So if we have like let's say you were hiring for website design and you wanted to go ahead and post some inspiration for the job, you could go ahead and upload that here. And then we click next, and then under the details section here, we can choose whether we're hiring for a one-time project or an ongoing project or a complex project. So in this case, we are hiring for an ongoing project, and then we can go ahead and add screening questions if we want, but this is optional. And if we don't include any screening questions, then what's going to happen is they're just going to have what's called a cover letter, which is essentially just an application that they get to fill out, and they are just going to have the free ability to respond directly to what we put in the job posting. So if you want to put some additional screening questions, you can. Maybe if you want to screen for specific experience or very specific skills or past tasks performed, then you can go ahead and put these screening questions in here. Maybe, for example, something like, are you very fluent in English, or have you had any prior experience with this work, etc., etc. You can go ahead and put stuff in there in the screening section, but for the sake of this video, we are not going to do that here. And then here we can go ahead and just select different types of skills that we are looking for. So we just want to go ahead and select any skills that are relevant to the job that we are hiring for. So in this case, we could go ahead and select like data entry, because that's sort of similar to what they're going to be doing here. And you can just go ahead and look through different ones if you want and add in any types of relevant skill sets here. So maybe inventory management, and then we can come down here and search for individual skills if we want to. So if I typed in like fulfillment, I could go ahead and select order fulfillment, and then down here we can go what level of experience are we looking for. So this is where you can tell if you're looking for someone that is relatively new, has minimal experience, some experience, or a lot of experience. So essentially what this means is, are you looking for someone that's new, that's going to charge less but they're less experienced? Do you want someone in the middle, or do you want someone that has a proven track record but that's going to charge more? Most of the time, I would stay away from entry level personally. I would at least go with intermediate or expert. Most of the time, especially if it's an important task, I want somebody with proven experience, and I have no problem with paying a little bit more. So if I click on next, we can go ahead and select the talent location here, which means we can show our job to just people in the US, or we can show it to people worldwide. So in most cases, we're going to go ahead and select worldwide. And if we want to specifically target countries, we can, but normally I'm just going to leave it worldwide for the majority of jobs. And then we go ahead and click next again. And now we can see who can see your job. So in this point, you're just going to want to click anyone right here, so that way as many people as possible can see our job. And then we're going to see how many people do we need. So if we only need one person for this job, you can select one, but if you're hiring more than one person for the same position, you'd select this. And then this is if we want to invite specific people, and in this case we don't. And then down here you can add specific more qualifications if you want, such as their job success score. So you could go ahead and filter out for people that are only have a 90% and up job success score, or have only earned, let's say, a minimum of $1,000 on Upwork, and you can filter for their English level right here. So this is all going to be personal preference. I normally don't filter these, and I just filter through these specific applications myself. However, if you want to go ahead and use some of these filters, you absolutely can. Probably the English level is going to be the most useful one here. And then once you've selected all this stuff, we go ahead and hit next, and then we go ahead and decide our budget. So we can either pay by the hour or pay by a fixed price. Now this is going to be up to you. For a lot of work, you'd be paying by the hour, and if it's VA work, you can probably outsource most tasks for anywhere from around $3 to $10 if it's more so tasks on the simple side. So you could put in that hourly range. You could also choose to not add a range at all and just let people bid for different things, but you're probably going to want to go ahead and put in the range that you're looking to pay. So you could put in something like $3 to $10 an hour, and then you can go ahead and estimate how long you think the project will last. So we thought this was going to be long term, so it will be more than 6 months, and then you specify how many hours per week, and then you just go ahead and click next, and then we are good to go. So that's how you go ahead and create the job posting on Upwork. And if we go ahead back here, we're going to go ahead and go over a few more things now. So after you've posted your job, you're going to go ahead and leave it up for a couple of days. So a lot of times for virtual assistant work, you're going to get a ton of applications within the first 24 hours. So you really don't have to wait that long. So you can normally post your job and then come back the next day, and you can immediately start the screening process. So first off, the first thing you're going to do within the screening process is immediately disregard all applicants that do not follow your instruction at the end of the job post. So if you told everyone to start their application with ABC123, then what you would do is you would literally filter through all of the jobs, and you wouldn't even read any of it. You would just look at the beginning, and if the job post, if their application didn't start with the phrase that you told them to start it with, then you just immediately archive that job post. On Upwork, there is an option where you can either thumbs up or thumbs down a job post, and if you thumbs down it, it'll just archive it, so it's not it kind of declutters the application area, and all you have to do is go ahead and thumbs down it. So if they didn't follow your instructions, you want to immediately disregard them. This is a really good filter, and people that aren't able to follow a simple instruction like that are typically not going to be very pleasant to work with. So the next thing we want to go ahead and do is look for people that posted the most unique replies catered to our specific post. So like I said earlier, a lot of times people just copy and paste the same generic responses all the time to different applications and job posts. So even if they put our screening question at the beginning of their application, they could have done that and then just pasted in another generic post. And what we want to do is we just want to read these applications and see which applicants actually read our job post and actually put in the effort to read the post and actually understand our job and what we're hiring for, and then actually went ahead and provided an application that was very relevant to our job. So I would say this would be the second part of the screening process, is looking for replies that are actually catered to our specific post. And then another thing to look out for is looking for people that can communicate in relatively clear English, because that's going to make the process a lot easier, assuming you are an English speaker and your business operates in English. So throughout this screening process, your goal is going to be to filter down to about your 5 favorite applicants. And once you've done that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next phase, which is the testing phase. So once we've narrowed down to your 5 favorite applicants, we can go to the testing phase. And what we're going to do is we're going to give the remaining applicants a test task that is related to the work they will be doing. And this could be free or paid. It's up to you. I've done both in the past. I've given people a really quick free task, or I've given them a little bit longer of a task that was paid. So you could do something where you give people a test task and they get $5 or $10, or you could give something really simple and go ahead and make that free. This is going to be preference and it's going to be up to you. However, you definitely want to give them a task that's sort of related to the work they will be doing, so that way we can test their abilities. And this is also another part of the screening process, because some people aren't going to be willing to even perform the test task, and if that's the case, then we want to go ahead and immediately disregard them as well, because we're looking for people that really want to put in the work to get this job. So you want to make sure you spend time, come up with a nice test task that's not too hard. You don't want them doing something that's going to take hours. You want it to be a quick test task, but you want to make sure it's something that they have to have attention to detail to complete, and the closer the test task is related to the work they will be doing, the better. So you could just give them a very small portion of the work they will be doing up front as a test task, and then we can go ahead and see how well they do the job. So for example, if it was thumbnail creation for a YouTube channel, you could have them create a thumbnail really quickly, and something like that, you may want to compensate them a little bit up front. So once we've went ahead and given out the test, as soon as we get all of the test tasks submitted to us, at this point we need to choose an applicant. So we can use things such as the quality of the submitted task. That's obviously going to be the first thing we're looking at, is how well did they complete the test task, and we can try and rank them accordingly to that. We can also take into account things like the speed the task was completed in, and how quickly they communicate. So not just how quickly did they complete the task, but how quickly have they been communicating this entire time throughout the entire interview process. Did they respond to messages really quickly? Did they respond the next day? Did they respond in a few hours? Typically, you're going to want to lean towards people that communicate extremely fast. So the quicker someone responds, the better. That is a very big green flag. If someone takes a day or more to respond, they're probably going to be a pain to work with. You need people that communicate clearly, so that's definitely something you want to look for. That's another reason why we kind of draw out the screening and testing process a little bit, because we want to kind of gauge how well these people are going to be communicating. And you can also look at things like their prior work history on Upwork, or any samples that they provided, their feedback on Upwork, and you can kind of use a combination of all these things to help with your decision. And if you go ahead and factor all that in, most of the time the decision process is going to be pretty easy. There's going to be a few standouts, and you just go ahead and choose from them. So after that, once you've go ahead and made your hire, you're going to want to have training and SOPs, which stands for Standard Operating Procedures, in place to make the job as clear and as simple as possible for them. So the easiest way to do this is to create a recording training video. This is what I personally do and what I find is best, but you could also type out an SOP. So you literally could type out something just like this template here that I'm using for this video, explaining the entire process of how to hire a virtual assistant. You could literally type out an SOP just like this and link it to your virtual assistant, and this SOP that you'd be making could be the SOP that has to do with the specific task that you're outsourcing. So if you don't want to make a video, which I get it, maybe you don't have a microphone, that's fine. Then you can go ahead and just type out an SOP. However, if you can record a quick video, that's a little quicker. You can just go ahead and go on Google and search for free screen recording software. There's a ton of them, and you can just use like any microphone or headset you have. Just record your screen really quickly, record yourself performing the task, and go ahead and give them the training video. Now, depending on the task, the training is going to be different. Hence, for something like order fulfillment for e-commerce, like the job example, that would be something where sending them a video showing them exactly how to fulfill the orders might be the best. But for something like, let's say, thumbnail creation for a YouTube channel, you assume these people already know how to do graphic design, so you don't have to train them how to use Photoshop, but instead you would just want to have a general idea of the type of look that you want in your thumbnails, and you'd want to make that very clear to them. So the training and SOPs will vary depending on the task that you're trying to outsource, but it is extremely important that you do have these things in place. at all times, because it's going to make things a lot easier. It's going to make it easier on you to manage, and it's going to make it easier on them. So, it's a win-win for everyone involved to have as much training and SOPs in place as possible. So make sure you definitely do that. And at this point, it's time to move on to section 3, which is working with and managing a VA. So the first thing is, I'm going to just go over a couple of different tools that you can use, which is going to make the process of working with and managing a VA a lot easier than it would be if you were just going to try and do it, let's say, just all through Upwork. So when it comes to communication with your team members, the more members you have, the more likely you'll benefit from using a third-party chat program. However, if you just have one virtual assistant doing one task, then you're probably fine just using Upwork. However, if, let's say, you're outsourcing, you have an e-commerce store and you're outsourcing order fulfillment, and then you have someone else doing customer support, and then you have someone else doing inventory management, and then you have someone else managing all three of those people, then it's going to be really hard for you guys to all communicate through separate messages on Upwork, which is where you can use different chat programs such as Slack or Discord. So Slack and Discord essentially serve the same function. It pretty much comes down to preference. Slack is marketed more towards businesses, and Discord has been marketed more towards the casual market. However, they both really serve the same function. So if I go ahead and pull up Slack real quick, essentially all you'll do is you can create a chat for your business right here, and then you'll get a section right here with channels, and you can create different channels, and you get a section down here for direct messages, and this is where you can direct message everyone on your team. So what you could do is you could create different channels for, let's say, different functions in your business. So if it was e-commerce store, we'll stick with that example, and you could create a channel, let's say, for order fulfillment, and then you could have the person responsible for order fulfillment in that channel, and then you could have, like, let's say, your manager that manages everyone in that channel as well, and then you guys can discuss everything related to order fulfillment in that specific channel. And then you could have another channel for customer support, and then you could have the entire customer support team in there. And you can have a channel, like just a general channel, which is, the entire business, the entire team, everyone on the team. And then if you want to talk to someone directly, you can do that through direct messages. And then, everyone within the channel here, everyone within the entire chat can also send direct messages with each other as well. So this just makes the communication process a lot easier. And if you prefer Discord, then they have all of the same functionality. It's pretty much the same thing. So you can use one or the other to do that. And like I said, I would recommend doing this once you start to build up a team. It's not really necessary with one person, maybe not even with two. But once you start getting 3, 4, 5 people on your team, and especially once you start getting people to manage them, then you absolutely want to go ahead and set up an account with Slack or Discord and get all of your communication going through there. Because when you can create different channels, which are essentially sub chats for different aspects of your business, it's going to be really helpful. So the next section of tools we're going to be looking at are management tools. So we're going to be going over 2 useful tools that are going to help a lot when hiring VAs. So the first one's going to be LastPass, which is going to allow you to give VAs access to certain programs within your business without changing all of your passwords. So let's say you need a VA to use a specific software. Let's say you need them to log into your email account or something like that, and you don't want to change all your passwords to give them your passwords. You can use LastPass, which is very helpful for giving team members access to your accounts without compromising security on either end. And then once you're done working with them, you can just go ahead and remove them from the team. So we can go ahead and see this is LastPass, and if we go over to pricing, we can see that the business plans here range from $3 to $8 a month. So it's not very expensive, and it definitely helps especially if you have multiple team members that need to be logging into multiple different programs and you don't feel like having a bunch of different passwords and stuff like that. So LastPass would be the first one I recommend, and the second one is going to be Trello. So Trello essentially lets you manage and track workflow. So this is going to make monitoring tasks very easy. So it's going to be easier for you, or if you eventually hire a manager, to keep track of tasks and what's getting done. And it's also going to make it easier for the VA themselves to keep track of what they're working on and keep things organized. So I'll show you what Trello looks like real quick. So there's a lot of different things you can do with Trello. This example is going to be very basic, but essentially you have what's called lists up here, and you can essentially just create like an assembly line. So like right here we can see I created an example board right here, and you can see that this list is tasks to be completed, this list is in progress, and then this list is completed. So what you could do is you could go ahead and invite your VA to this board right here, and you could go ahead and create different tasks for them to do and put them right here. So in order to add another task, you could just put add another card, and then you could go ahead and name the task. And then if you wanted to add more details, you can click on it, open it up. You can add a due date. You can go ahead and add an attachment if you need to attach a file to it. You can tag certain members, so you can tag the VA in it if you want. And it's just very helpful to go ahead and keep workflow really organized. And essentially, no matter what type of task you are outsourcing, you can probably benefit from organizing it within Trello, especially the more tasks you outsource and the more moving parts you have within your business. So the more team members you have, you're definitely going to want to start using something like Trello to keep everything organized. And then everyone you give access to this board can come in here and edit it as well. So your VA would come in here and see the list of tasks to be completed, and they would go ahead and, let's say they were going to start working on this task we just created, so they could go ahead and drag that over here to go ahead and show what they're working on. So now we don't have to go and ask, what are you working on? We know exactly what's being worked on right now, and then as soon as they finish that task, they can just drag it over to the completed section. And there's a lot of different things we can do within Trello. You can create a lot of different workflows that get a lot more advanced than just this simple 3-step one, but I just wanted to keep it very simple for this video to kind of just show the basic functionality of it and the usefulness. So I would definitely recommend using Trello, especially as you start outsourcing more and more things. And the last thing we're going to cover in this video is payments. So payments through Upwork are really easy, so you can always just keep all of your payments through there if you want. However, you can also use PayPal to pay VAs, and this could be easier if you eventually have a large team, and let's say you just want to pay them a set amount bi-weekly. So payments through Upwork are very convenient. They're always held, your payment deposits are held in escrow, and then you choose when to pay them out. However, you can use something like PayPal if you want an alternative to that. So with that said, that's how you go ahead and hire a virtual assistant. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or need any further elaboration on anything explained in the video, go ahead and leave that in the comment section down below. I'll leave a download link to this page here in the description if you want to go ahead and reference this SOP for hiring a virtual assistant. And with that said, subscribe to this channel for more content, and I will see you guys in the next video.